Blackfriars Crown Court Judge Daniel Worsley, Port 2 T201506661RV Barry T201601221RV McNeil NB Neelu Barry, Neelu's Barrister Ruth Zentler-Munro SMSM, her Barrister James Byrne Times given from court clock for transcripts in our::min::sec. Notes of Court Proceedings 11, the 18th of July 2016. 11th of July 2016, start 11:25 Court Clerk, are you Neelu Barry? NB, I make no jurisdiction plea on grounds that the resident judge, Judge Hillen, has liability defendant status in a corruption claim for the Royal Commission. 11:29 Ruth Munro, jury be screened. If no religious authority, to ask if they are Satanists. Judge Worsley must have jury who don't know any of the persons involved in the case and have had no connection with them. London has a huge jury pool. No harm in doing exactly as you suggest. Mr. Attridge, be ready. Sending in jury panel to fit to begin. Stephen Attridge. I have names of witnesses, clergy in Hampstead. Judge Worsley. Miss Munro, if people involved in the case, will you be ready with names of witnesses? I doubt witnesses required to give evidence. I will ask the same to Mr. Burns. Do you ask if I take inquiry further regarding whistleblower kids' secondary and primary websites and blogs to ask if they had any connections with the websites? To Mr. Byrne, nothing about religious oath but the request for your client Miss Munro, if they do or don't have religion, if they adhere to satanic faith. Judge Worsley. There are 5 indictments. We will proceed only with the conspiracy count 111:39. Jury will be told only count 1. Judge Worsley, not guilty pleas entered for both defendants. Defendant witness statement served. Argument this morning assuming it goes ahead. Hypothetical. Opening note. Invite defendants to elaborate. Issues for jury. Evidence proceeds. Assuming case goes ahead with jury retiring to deliberate Thursday or Friday. Always a risk might go Monday. I am sitting Monday to Wednesday next week. To defense counsels, I will not permit vigorous cross-examination of the officer in the case. James Byrne, SM has substantial evidence. 2 hours. 12:00:00. Jury sworn in. Stephen Attridge reads out charge count 1. Between the 15th of April to the 25th of April, you conspired to intimidate witnesses to pervert the course of justice. Judge Worsley. How long? Miss Munro. Ruth Munro. Half an hour. Judge Worsley. Early lunch at 1:45. To the jury, you become judges, you alone, not family. Don't do any research on the internet websites. I will instruct you on the law. You decide on the facts. For a fair trial, there must be no internet. You need to appoint a foreman when you retire. You will have a jury bundle for defense bundle copy indictment. You are allowed to take notes. Defendant come in good time in the morning. 12:16. Jury exits. Judge orders all standing in the public gallery to leave the courtroom. Judge requests bigger courtroom. None available. 12:41:55. Ruth Munro. Has Your Honor received bundle with unsealed application and black and white claim with 2 seals? Judge Worsley. No. Ruth Munro. I have borrowed the original claim form. Ruth hands to the judge the original claim for HQ16X02369, Barry the 5th Sec of State for Justice and ORS issued on 5th of July 2016. Your Honor will see application made in the High Court. Jurisdiction notice. World outstanding corruption claim is determined in the High Court, stamped as received in the Blackfriars Crown Court, 6th of July 2016. Or we apply that matters be adjourned until dealt with by the High Court. I would like to call Edward W. Ellis to explain the basis of the application in the High Court. Note, the original corruption claim form, sealed by the High Court, was retained by the judge and not returned, despite several requests. Edward W. Ellis, sworn in. I am Edward W. Ellis. Parliament vested powers in the Royal Commission for Corruption Remedies in 2012. Ruth Munro, what connection do you say there is to grant of power to this trial? Edward W. Ellis, it is a long, complicated process. Ordinary corruption cases were used to get proof sets to take out corrupt judges. There then needed corrupt officers to squabble. I chose some powerful pedophile protection fraud corruption claims. This is one of them. First was the case of Mr. Taylor Zentler-Munro. Can I pause for a minute so the court can be clear what the connection is? Edward W. Ellis, compelling corruption proof against many judges. Powerful pedophile cases were started later on when we had everything on the judges. The two defendants was powerful pedophile whistleblowers, so in the proceedings SM agreed to cooperate and got issue of two corruption claims, one against the Crown, one against the Crown Court resident Judge Hilling. 12:48:03: Ruth Munro. What happened, Judge Worsley? To Edward: you are a claimant? Edward W. Ellis: NB is the claimant. The Royal Commission, the Crown has use of 24 Lord Bishops and 2 Lord Archbishops. The Queen can order for the state an unfitness trial for the corrupt officers. 1 Lord Archbishop and 12 Lord Bishops sit at the trial, and 1 Lord Archbishop and 12 Lord Bishops sit at the appeal. Jury dismissal priority finding against Tony Blair could not be served. Ruth Munro. This case should not proceed pending the outcome of NB claim lodged in the High Court on 5th of July 2016. Does Your Honor need background? Judge Worsley. No. Edward W. Ellis. Jurisdiction priority case goes to lay jury. Any effort by the judge is deemed a fraud. Judge Worsley. Stop. I am not minded to adjourn indefinitely. 12:51:46: Somatic and be heard. Edward W. Ellis. You would benefit from Lewis Crown Court Ruth Munro. Take into account the printed material. No additional matter. Judge Worsley. Said Edward W. Ellis. It is a conflict jurisdiction fraud. If you continue, Judge Worsley, application is made on behalf of NB that I do not continue with this trial pending outcome of the High Court claim filed on 5th of July against Secretary of State for Justice resident judge of this court and to officials of the High Court because of what Edward W. Ellis has advised me. After I had looked at the claim, this is something that happens frequently in civil and criminal. I pass no judgment on the merits of NB's claim articulated to adjourn the case, and I refuse the application. DAY 2, the 12th of July 2016, ed. From Press Association. Take a photo of NB as she enters the court building. 10:45:13. Reselection of jury panel due to bereavement. Jury reselected due to bereavement of one jury member's mother. 11:02:23. Rules for jury. 11:03:20. Lee ejected. Judge Worsley. We have a great advantage of an adversarial system whereby the prosecution put forward fairly and barristers act for their side. Crown act as assessors. Jury is the judge. Jury can ask questions of the judge. Fair trial. 11:10, 20-minute break for jury. 11:11:23. No pressure and defendant or perceived pressure. Fair trials. Full powers controlling public gallery. Anyone interfering will be contempt of court with imprisonment. Betsy officer, if the case not present. Judge Worsley. 11:17:10. Perceived pressure is contempt of court. Filming is contempt of court. No telephone switched on in the courtroom. All must be passive. Outside court building, it is most unwise to approach the jury. Everybody must be very careful. Keep completely clear of all jurors, unless they expressly wish otherwise. James Byrne. Call inadvertent photo of juror would be contempt of court. Don't do it. Witness defendant. All supporters interference with court of justice seen by jurors would be damaging to the case. Jurors, witnesses and witness family members. Power to allow public to take notes. 2 sets of lay witnesses. 11:24:45. No publishing about trial. Stephen Attridge. Keyboard warriors. Wild West. Judge Worsley. Can't stop people publishing. Contempt of court is a criminal offense. 11:26:19. Public gallery returns. Ruth Munro. Exhibit for jury. Judge Worsley. Allow anyone with an interest in the case. Some will have to stand. Nobody outside. I want everyone to address me. Male voice. 11:28:50. A lot of people didn't come because they couldn't get in. Judge Worsley. I am increasingly concerned. 3 counsels including. There are some friends of defendants and witnesses, dealing with anything in a draconian way with imprisonment. There is no pressure on 3 counsels who have a public duty. No pressure on the defendant solicitors. No pressure on the police, witnesses and witnesses' family. But it would be most unwise going in and out of the building not to take photographs of the jury. Any filming of witnesses for jurors will be seen as contempt of court interference with the course of justice. Publication of trial would be contempt of court interference with the course of justice. A criminal offense will be dealt with sternly and fiercely. I do my job passionately. 11:40. Those seated may remain. Everyone else leaves. Ruth Munro. Stephen Attridge proposes to give jury advanced information regarding NB's lower court trial. No issue. What was in court was published. Jury can't have witness statement. 11:43:02. Judge Worsley putting it in the public domain. Ruth Munro. Limited to personal information. Judge Worsley. Let me ask Stephen Attridge. Stephen Attridge. Material was circulating for 9 months prior to the AI. Judge Worsley. Can I see it? 11:44:24. You want the whole bundle with the jury. Stephen Attridge. Yes, Judge Worsley. It's common ground. All this was published. What do you, Ruth Munro? None of it should go to jury. Indictment, supply of personal information. Only personal information should remain. There are witnesses who will not be coming. There are events not to do with indictment. Crown is attempting to prove her behavior. Jury cannot receive entirety statement without undue prominence. Remind the mission is the jurors are not giving the witness statements is the complete destruction. There is no library used to where physical documents go. Personal information therein. There is additional material. Witnesses who are not party to the proceedings. James Byrne. We have food in both counts. Mass material MG5 MG6 assists. Dump is not an accurate strike. There is a third way to use the bundle with redactions. Why the 22nd of March we admit is unfairly prejudiced. Mr. Ward and me pressed Stephen Attridge. Personal information identifying where the witnesses lived and worshipped. In offering the bundle to the jury, Stephen Attridge contradicts himself. Before Judge Sullivan he was asked what his case to show what is intimidation. Redacted it. You should not delay matters. Judge Worsley. I am now off to rules as to whether or not, and if so to what extent, the information in the court papers in the events of the 22nd of March, she co-defendant SM should not go to the jury or go with the limited extent. The protest was held on the 22nd of March. It is undisputed that on the 5th of April to the stars with criminal offense of disrupting a church service. On the 8th and 9th of April, she appeared in court. On the 9th she had papers SM put on her blog, the header of this bundle. The issue is NB had no intention to intimidate or pervert the course of justice or SM. Defendant statement paragraph 21, NB sent it to me. I published it to highlight child abuse. For a conviction, there must be an intention and an agreement to put out that which would intimidate. What was NB's intention? Scanning and copying it and SM putting it out. Stephen Attridge. There is a match in what was sent in full and what was published in full. Arguments for NB. It is to be admitted that court papers and witness statement and personal information was scanned and supplies to SM. There is no need for the jury to see the actual material. What the witnesses say on the 22nd of March is not agreed by NB. Ruth Munro. There is no trial here in any way. What happened on the 22nd of March? It is not admissible. What is unfairly prejudicial? Section 78 Police and Criminal Evidence Act excludes it. James Byrne. My reaction is different. Like Ruth, witness statement is not off the 22nd of March. It's not of the witnesses. Redactions. I have to decide what is admissible. Exclude it. I can say without doubt for the jury to be able to judge what was the intention in sending and publishing. NB sent it not to be published, sent to SM interested in the topic. Absolutely admissible intentions. Infer what was sent, what was published with a firm warning. We are not trying the events of 22nd of March. This bundle is the subject matter of this trial. I don't see the doubt jury being able to see they're in a position to judge what the intentions were. Whether I should say no, Section 78 is not my judgment. Juries are credited to follow directions. 12:03:38 to 12:52. Stephen Attridge opening note. See attached. 12:56:20. James Byrne. 2 issues with SM. She denies agreement to intimidate witnesses. She denies intention to intimidate witnesses. Judge Worsley. Those issues will have to be proved against her. Section 9 CAS. YouTube audio recording of the church service of the 22nd of March is unauthored. Posted on. No satanic rituals not difficult for priest to make himself heard. 14:17. Return from lunch. Curtains drawn. 14:20. PC. Oath to God. Stephen Attridge. PVC, incumbent at Christ Church, to witness statements 1st of April 2015 incident on 22nd of March and on the 29th of March PC, and another 7 Sundays Stephen Attridge, second statement on the 11th of April. Police told you witness statements posted online. Statement of 1st of April. 7 copies of the bundle distributed to the jury, 1 for the witness, 6 for the jury, page 22 to 53, for NB and SM to share PC. At 10 a.m. as I approached the gates, I was asked, "Is there child abuse taking place here?" A white woman with an American accent with an Asian lady both spoke. I said I would not speak about the case. I went in the church very busy sitting at the altar facing sideways. 1431. I noticed the American woman and a number of others filming fiddled around with the books, started filming me for about 10 minutes. I exchanged words welcoming her, helping her with the books. I did ask her to stop filming. The choir was getting upset. Judge Worsley, were there children? PC, adults. But she continued. Stephen Attridge, how is recording making you feel? PC, rather odd and upset, not wishing to make a fuss and put up with it. The service began soon after there was an incident of noise. The number of protesters were bundled to the door and pushed out. Stephen Attridge, did you recognize anyone? PC, I was aware there was a mob outside. Stephen Attridge, who bundled them out? PC, the congregation and police were responsible for removing the person outside. As the service continues, people are trying to push their way through. Larger parishioners are barring the door. American female moved from the front to the back of the church. I did not notice her after that. I was distressed. I tried to remain as calm as I possibly could. I could hear a great deal of noise outside, shouting. At the end of the service, I was approached by the same 2 females. I was standing surrounded by parishioners. The 2 ladies inside the church with telephone in her hand asked me, "What is your name? Who are you?" Asian female asked me to comment about child abuse at the church, whilst a number of parishioners surrounding me waiting to say goodbye, including a large number of children. The manner of the Asian lady was not aggressive. Other people could hear, sending within an earshot. 1440. I was disturbed by it. I did not want an incident in front of parishioners. We have children for Sunday school. They were brought in from the main entrance. The church has high windows, a glass door looking out, age between 2 to 8. 9 and 10, some remain in the church. Second page, 29th of March, page 31. Halfway extraordinary, deeply upsetting. 2 other priests left, mobbed, safety and well-being, and a threat. Already things that happened to me a few weeks before. Material appearing on the internet emanating from the family of 2 children. They made a number of allegations, all of which were wholly untrue, to do with the proceedings in the High Court dealing with care and custody. Copy of the judgment published online. James Byrne. Objection. Stephen Attridge. Allegations of child sex abuse at the church were made by the mother of 2 children abused by their father and other children sent by DHL TNT, cooked in oven and McDonald's, and babies being eaten. Judge Poefley was asked to determine those issues in the High Court custody proceedings, and she concluded there was no weight to those proceedings. James Byrne. Unfounded. Stephen Attridge. A mother and boyfriend terrorized her children. Judge Worsley. The allegations were investigated by the judge. Allegations were online. The home address is Stephen Attridge. On Saturday 11th of April you received the telephone call from Officer Black, who informed to use your statement was put up. PC. I was upset, but my personal details, my feelings about the court and police, were not to be used in the way that it was. James Byrne. Objection. Stephen Attridge. 1453. Did you consider bringing a criminal prosecution? Judge speaks to PC. 1454. Asking if you would have given evidence. PC. I would have done evidence in criminal proceedings, as I have done today. Ruth Monroe. We're not making any allegations of child abuse against you. The material appeared some weeks before the 22nd of March. The threats on page 31 were there by the 1st of April, already online. PC. They were online soon after the videos of the children appeared online. Ruth Monroe. Mr. PC aware of allegations a few weeks before the 22nd of March. PC. Email, address, telephone number already posted online with photo and name. Judge Worsley. 1458. Which video? Ruth Monroe. Videos by children PC, 8 Sundays of police presence until we agreed with the police the dangers of disruption had passed. 1 or 2 people ignored it. We did not ask the police to be present. Ruth Monroe, you mentioned the American and Asian lady. You will never ask to attend an ID parade PC. No, Ruth Monroe. On the 22nd of March about 30 people gathered. There was more than one American woman, that was more than one Asian woman. The actions were such that neither swore at you. No overt threats, neither aggressive, filming in the church, asking comments on allegations made. Statement did not contain additional material. PC, route from home to church. Ruth Monroe, nothing substantial. Witness statement for criminal trial. Accepted. You were contacted on the 11th of March by police. You did not see any material. When police called, arranged to come and take statements, did they tell you it would amount to witness intimidation? PC, they asked me to make a statement. I had been informed. Judge Worsley, jury do not have second witness statement. 1506 Ruth Monroe, no further questions. Upset by and affected by campaign 1 more thing in a vicious campaign. James Byrne, 1507 on the 11th of April had a telephone conversation with the police officer Jennifer Black PC. She told me my witness statement was on the internet. I looked at the blog. Subsequently contain allegation in respect of witness statements. Not sure if address was on it. James Byrne, police visited you. Police asked you to give statements. It was police-led. PC, don't remember witness intimidation. James Byrne, did you ask why original statement was on the internet? This might have relevance to proceedings to some people in court. You are aware of judicial evidence in Judge Hopefully court material on the internet. Children interviewed by police. PC, pattern. I am not proficient in law. Witness statement should not be published. James Byrne, on the witness statement police asked you to put the address. Clearly witness statement in a criminal trial is given to the defendant. The witness statement would go to defense. Millions could read it. Criminal justice is open justice. You knew it could get out there. Material on blog commented on 11th of April. By the time of the 11th of April witness statement, you saw that after you were told it was on the blog. End of witness evidence of PC 1519 Judge Worsley, tomorrow we will hear the witness evidence for PG, VG, SD Stephen Attridge. Ruth has a video and audio file over 1 hour long. I will watch it overnight to see if it will affect the cross-examination. Ruth Monroe, I intend to show only 5 minutes of the 1 hour. It is material already published. It was not given outside court. Judge Worsley, on the face of it I don't propose to do anything with it perverting the course of justice. Contempt of court. I must echo to be very, very careful. Stephen Attridge, regarding contempt of court, it may appear anybody publishing any material would be acting on behalf of the defendant. My wish is everything is done fairly. Comments as strong as they may be are unwise. James Byrne, private document and a number of her friends, someone who is a supporter of the witnesses had strong words, apologizes to the court, not for public dissemination. Worsley, 1526 unwise. I am not going to take action. It is potentially against the interests of the defendant. Enough said. Legal directions to be approved. In the particulars, conspired with each other and others. Jury to make a finding of guilty or not guilty for both Stephen Attridge. I understand. End of Day 2, the 12th of July 2016. Day 3, the 13th of July 2016, 10:17:22 to 12:59:13. PG sworn in, takes oath to God. 10:17:20, 13th of July 2016. PG sworn in. Stephen Attridge, you are the church warden. You are an officer of the bishop. Responsibilities for the ministry services. Divine not interrupted. Witness statement on the 30th of March in relation to events of Sunday service 22nd of March. Second witness statement on the 11th of April. Jury shown bundle. Police officer's handwriting. Your signature. First statement to police about the incident on 22nd of March. PG, I came with my wife at 10:30-ish. Judge Worsley, what counsels forget to ask is what you said in that statement was true. PG, yes, outside the church boundary is a public place called Hampstead Square. Parishioners arrive 10:45 to 10:55. Stephen Attridge, how many people were outside? PG, I don't remember, possibly 10, maybe more. Judge Worsley, you can refer to your statement if you can't remember. 10:23:51. Inside the church were some individuals. The choir master came to complain about a quiet disturbance outside. 10:24. In the church was an American lady. She said she was an architectural student. At 10:30, before the church service, tourists are welcomed. An individual very short with cropped hair, round face, Eastern European accent, filming things, not gently. 2 people prior to church service. Ruth Monroe. TV remains on PG. Service starts at 11. 10:28:53. Stephen Attridge. Did police arrive? PG. The vicar requested the attendant of police. PC. Police arrive. 10:30. I spoke to Jason Collins. We discussed matters to increase the number of people. Jason gave me his telephone number. He would be outside around the corner. I called the police at 10:46 a.m. Protesters were in the churchyard harassing parishioners. We have 2 entrances, 80 adults, 20 to 30 younger, and others with siblings in the church, harassing parishioners, shouting, relating to judgment issued by the court 3 days earlier by Judge Poefle. Custody between a mother and a father. 10:33:19. Stephen Attridge. The mother posted on YouTube allegations that her husband sexually abused the children. PG. My concern was not to do with the family or case. Owl Beaker was accused of massacre of thousands of babies, variety of satanic practices, demonic combination, organized, accused of satanism or malpractice or rape, conspiracy of establishment to do with manipulation of news. I have no. Stephen Attridge. Parishioners. PG. Were harassed, confused. I called police at 10:46 due to the behavior of demonstrators between the current age of the church area. I was unaware of people inside the church. Stephen Attridge. There were concerns for safety. PG. I went to one side of the gate, standing outside the church trying to draw people away. I was approached by one of the females, short, a lady, brownish skin tone, brown, holding a red camera. She was filming me. Ruth Monroe. Objection. James Byrne. Objection. 10:40:25. Judge Worsley. Proceed. Stephen Attridge. What was the lady doing with the camera? PG. Holding it, looking at the small screen. Stephen Attridge. How close? PG. Within my comfort zone. Stephen Attridge. How did that make you feel? PG. Uncomfortable. I thought it was better to keep her away from everyone else. Can I talk to you? Are you aware Judge Poefle committed treason? Her manner was very passionate. Some presentation that all judges should be jailed and all prisoners released. Stephen Attridge. How did that make you feel? PG. Anxious people shouting abuse. Bibitus murderers. Laughs. 10:43:50. I don't have full memory. Stephen Attridge. Was she still filming? PG. I believe so. I went back into church to get things ready for service. I was a little time before 11 a.m. Probably had words inside. Concerned police were not managing the situation. Stephen Attridge. 10:45:24. What did you want the police to do? PG. Not a proper briefing. A couple of days earlier, expecting a minor crowd. My expectation was to maintain some way. Judge Worsley. Next question. PG. I came back down. I saw her and her friend, a tall person who had been in the church earlier. The lady came across to me with a variety of documents to read. Statement from the mother of the children. Stephen Attridge. Stop there. Was she accompanied with a male? PG. Both filming. She films me. He films both of us. This is not normal. Stephen Attridge. Papers. PG. She was holding a wad of papers from yesterday. She proceeded to read them out. The subject matter became very distasteful, referring to sexual treatment of children. My mind is blank. Stephen Attridge. Referred to statement. PG. She read name of people. She would not stop. Inappropriate. It was not relevant. I could not take any more of it. Not proper stuff to be read out. Stephen Attridge. How did that make you feel? PG. I was distressed. Child abuse accusations. I looked at my watch. I put my hand on the camera. Both she and her friend said I have assaulted her. Chased by people. Stephen Attridge. Chased by people back in the door. 10:53 PG. Police advised me to go back in. We have a porch, filled with noise, no lock on it. Julius Eliahu. Make sure service started. Procession with vicar to the altar. I was sitting at the back with my wife. The vicar and chancellor heard hammering on door. 3 individuals burst into the church. We are only here to watch the satanic rituals. Parishioner Dawn saw the red camera. I do not want to be filmed. Paul and Julius heard noise for 10 minutes. Police called extra police. 10:57:30 Stephen Attridge. Any noise during service PG. Shouting in Hampstead Square. Fear of weapons. Concern for Minister Vicar and 2 other parishioners. Priest Bo. PP. How we would exit the church at the end of service. 11 a.m. Windows for Sunday school. Head height of window height. Stephen Attridge. You gave your first statement. Were you contacted by police on the 11th of April? 11:02 PG. From 23rd of March to the 6th of April, we made a plan. I have to contact the police on the morning of the 23rd of March. 1 had another contact with police and public safety officers. On the 11th of April, we had a telephone call. Early morning officer said, our statement of 30th of March has been put on the internet. I was shocked. There was a fault in the legal system. Police released documents. I was not aware of sharing of material. Statement has one's home address on it. Very concerned, uneasy. Police attended 20 church services. This came early in that process. Judge Worsley, 11:05:20. You may refer to your statement if you need. James Byrne. I object to that only if witnesses can't remember, then only. Referred to statement. Judge Worsley, 2003 Criminal Evidence Act. If witness's statement is true. James Byrne. How witness felt. If admissible witness says, may one look. Cross-examination in chief. Police asked if I would be prepared to make a statement. I was unsure whether I got a statement in a court case at a later date. What can one do? Are we safe? Should we go? I heard as witnesses. Stephen Attridge. Why did you think that? PG. This is not a one-off event. It was against us as a church attempt to influence the legal process we were involved in. My understanding is statement of people who are protected to be witnesses published in media. 11:11:11 Prospect in giving evidence. Prospect in work. Rejection. Prospect in life. Judge Worsley. Objection held. No more on that. Mr. Attridge. PG. The actions of the church warden was at church and services were secure in various ways to May 31st. 11:13:30. In terms of personal matter, if I was nervous about being unusual people in the street, at the church, nervous and on the lookout for events, about 3 weeks ago there was a very large group, ID all 999, and it turned out to be church families. Ruth Monroe. Cross-examination. As a background to this is not intended to be any accusation, so that you can understand in which the allegations are made at children, not just against the father, but other parishioners. After that there was negative attention directed at church. PG. I was aware of a police search of the church intensively by police shortly before Sunday service. 11:16:30. I did not know. Jungles. If it's important, we will hear about it. Something involving children's families. I went to New Zealand February-March. It was an instruction for maintenance project. I was advised by the vicar of a court case hearing he and others were accused of sex abuse in early February 4th. 5:6 Ruth Monroe. There was time building up. PG. On the way to New Zealand I became aware of websites. One of these things that goes on. Court cases disputed. 11:19:00. I returned in March 12th. The case had been running February-March. The judge was going to do something unusual. Probably show findings. He was happy about that. We discussed the relationship reaction. The vicar was aware of internet by parishioners video material. February. First time aware of the internet. Ruth Monroe. Material was negative to the church and school. PG. Trying to avoid content. Names of parochial church council members. My name was probably on that list. There were a list of members of parish parents at the school that have continued. 11:22:13 Judge Worsley. Parents of church or school. PG. We provide accommodation for schools. Judge Worsley. Christ Church School is Church of England Primary School, and Church Council and Church of Primary School. Ruth Monroe. Prior to the 22nd of March. PG. I think it was not certain. Laughs. Shooting in the dark. 11:23:30 Judge Worsley. Admissions working on. To jury. To save time all parties matters will be given to you. Stephen Attridge. Ruth has document proposing to put to the jury. Judge Worsley. Can put document to witnesses. Ruth Monroe. I did a Google search February 2015. Stephen Attridge. Question the originality of the document. Judge Worsley. Phrase your questions carefully. PG. Google dates Ruth Munro. We all agree. Can we have jury out? Judge Worsley. Did you see material on the internet prior to 22nd of March? Names of parishioners and parents of the primary school? Not sure of dates? PG. I went to New Zealand via Los Angeles. I looked on my phone. I found details of something like the content on the internet prior to 22nd of March. February 6th I was told by the vicar of sexual abuse at the school. Wife and I travel separately. I looked at details on the phone internet and I found content referring to Christchurch and the matters we discussed whether on the internet. 3rd of February is trustworthy and some other websites. Judge Worsley. 11/31/00 was your name on the internet? PG. I raised concerns on return. My name is a public document. It is as a trustee on a charity. Judge Worsley. It's important for NB Ruth Munro. We have a timeline. Judge Worsley. Note. I believe from my memory, was eating of children linked with sex, abuse of children. PG, laughs, publication of case, use of various accounts, accusation against me personally. Ruth Munro, no allegations against you. You get back to things at church. PG, church warden. It was agreed that the school and law offices of authority had not effectively been in touch with them, had to find out. 11/35/08 Ruth Munro, allegations, displeasure unpleasant. PG, accusations were crude lies. After 22nd March we started to realize we had to up our game. We contacted different organizations. Small background more and talked with police in detail. Personal attacks against vicar, some assault on church. One evening service 23rd of March to the 26th of March parish meeting with interested individuals, 4 days with the Archdeacon, Barnet Police, Camden Police, Social Services, Camden Child Services and counselors. By the end of Thursday met with police, re-acknowledged nothing in the case. 19th of March 2015 judgment was given in open court. Judge Worsley. 11/38/20 without a shred of evidence, evil or misguided foolish. Cross-examination by Ruth Munro. You were aware people there were in protest of the judgment. PG. I don't know why they attended. Problem with judgment. Reading statement on the 22nd of March. Banners. American lady shouting Hampstead Christchurch.com. Ruth Munro. Your statement says they were there to protest the judgment of the ED case, protesting to families going to Sunday school. You understood the subject matter. Vast majority of protesters in the square. PG. Not enough room for them in the church. With police. Ruth Munro. Shouting things from the judgment. Baby eating. Judgment deemed allegations baseless, so it was hot air. Judge Worsley. Laughs. Hot air. 11/43/18 PG. They were intent on going in the church, not to attend the church service, but to cause a disturbance to our activities. I passed no judgment and what was being said. Ruth Munro. Hot air. Judge Worsley. Nonsense. PG. What they were protesting about was nonsense. Ruth Munro. Lady did not shout at you, swear at you, or make threats. PG. She was filming me. Reading material. I was accused of assault. Judge Worsley. Did she accuse you of physical violence? Ruth Munro. It was bemusement, surprise, what she said. PG. Concerned Hampstead Square Churchyard was a disruption going on. 11/47/30 PG. I was trying to be polite. Ruth Munro. Some footage with this. Judge Worsley. Not beating about the bush. 11/48/35 red camera filming. PG laughs. Betsy arrives. Video shown. 11:54:00 to 11:56:33 of NEELU talking to PG on the 22nd of March 2015 regarding PAUFFLEY judgment. Ruth Munro. You invited her on the service. She came back out. The Asian lady did not re-enter to the church. PG. She did. Ruth Munro. You are confusing her. PG. You might be correct. I don't know. Ruth Munro. In your witness statement you don't refer to inviting her into the church. PG. Inviting her. Ruth Munro. In reality there was no physical contact. The protesters did not prevent church service. PG. We agreed we would not allow the church service to be disrupted. Out of 30 services we cancelled only one service. Ruth Munro. You were unhappy with police action. PG. We did not brief the police properly. They were not ready for protesters. They were old-fashioned. We felt police needed to be more active for faith organizations. PG. They called reinforcements, organized an exit for the vicar, I locked the gates under police protection. We have 20 more occasions of police until the 31st of May 2015. Ruth Munro. There were no arrests in that time. The police did not deter protesters. PG. Public officers. Police 12:05:31. Police attended the 22nd and 29th of March. Protesters continued organized a meet group. Ruth Munro. You intended to nip it in the bud. PG. You wanted to discourage it. Ruth Munro. Statement of 30th comes into existence. PG. I think that was following the arrest. 12:07:50. I was telephoned, sent to West Hampstead Police Station. Ruth Munro. You told police it was illegal to disrupt a church service. PG. A faith organization should be allowed to practice its faith. Ruth Munro. Statement does not contain, page 39 40-41, no reference to your address in Exhibit A. Judge Worsley. Address is on the back. Not a question for you. PG. I was told my statement was online. Ruth Munro. No one other than police. 12:12:25. When were you aware that your address was not included? PG. April. On the internet I drafted documents to Google WordPress to remove content. I was aware of my signature online. Ruth Munro. When you checked online. PG. That weekend. Judge Worsley. 12:14:40. PG. Police attended in-person statement taking from me and VG. I can't remember what police said. Police wished to take witness statements. Police asked what we felt in the judgment. We were told witness intimidation is a criminal offense. Ruth Munro. Concern was stopping the judicial process from happening. In your statement you say, I see it as someone who has intent on stopping the judicial process. Publishing to stop proper judicial process? Judge Worsley. Is that correct? 12:20:50. PG. I was not sure if we want to go to court. Ruth Munro. Your statement for the magistrate's court. Judges are used to excluding prejudices. It does not affect judicial process. PG. I was concerned about my family. Ruth Munro. Isolate your reaction from campaign. PG. Church business. 12:23:50. Unknown. We knew this long-term meet-up picnic danger. Ruth Munro. What effect the bundle had? You say safety. How was privacy invaded? 12:26:20. Hearsay admitted. PG. There was a threat from an organization behind these events. Action selected, presented directed at individuals rather than community. 12:28:32. Material seen did not show police data. Ruth Munro. Direct intimidation. Never heard of witness statement in relation to media. How we closed Facebook and Twitter. Draw attention by publication to judgment in a case of 2 children in the context of the church school campaign. Personal to Vicar. PG. Wild accusations made. Seem to follow groups of people who claim to know facts. Name for known. Ruth Munro. Names of people targeted. Names plucked from the air as anxious to protest. End of cross-examination by Ruth. Cross-examination by James Byrne. 12:34:52. James Byrne. Question events prior to 10th and 11th of April. Who was voluminous material Friday, the 10th and 11th of April. There were allegations against PC. Head teachers. Names of published various names. PG. Wife closed Twitter account prior to 10th of April. Hot period. James Byrne. Keyboard warriors. PG. Keyboard warriors and street warriors. James Byrne. Relevance of 22nd of March. Question. Whether the video is contempt of court. Witness statement of alleged victim's mother. Contempt of court. PG. Judge said any further publication was contempt of court. Judge Worsley. On 22nd of March. Judgment said was contempt of court. James Byrne. You saw judgment criticize people for publication. You know on the 22nd of March the history of people publishing the Hampstead case from Judge Poffley. James Byrne. You gave 30th of March statements to police. PG. I was after come. Sergeant Evans and PC Davey took statements. Their officers attended. James Byrne. Did they explain it would go to a criminal court case? PG. I don't know. There was an assumption. 12:44:20. We were told an offense was committed. The police reviewed the video evidence. Serious offenses committed. Wanted witness statement. Police decided to proceed. Police did not explain what they would do. 12:45:50. PG. Not aware of offenses committed. James Byrne. Police did not explain what court, what they would do, whether they would give it to defendant. Please don't tell you the offense is committed, but they are bringing charges. The court process, but the witness statement would be given to NB if she was charged. Judge Worsley. When someone is charged they need to be told. 12:49:06. PG. I became aware by telephone that police had made 2 arrests. James Byrne. Silence from police. PG. I believed arrests were made prior to 30th of March. By Monday no court will mention James Byrne. From 13th of March to 11th of April, no contact with police. 12:52:44 PG. I made an assumption that my address was on it. Concern was this was an attempt to influence, push, change myself and others. Having a fortnight, impression. Arrest made. Fault in the legal system. Witness statement had home address. Various actions against church. End of cross-examination. By James Byrne. Stephen Attridge. Hot air outside church. Nonsense protest. PG. 12:58:09. Action is quite dangerous. 22nd of March. We have escorting arrangements. I felt dangerous need for ongoing support. Judge Worsley. We have had reactions from both sides.